Right, here we have a video of us going across to the old bike meet that's held on Wednesday afternoons at Blackbushe Airport. I'm on my BSA and joining my cousin at Arborfield Cross, I think is the place where we actually joined together. The purpose of the video is twofold really. One is to just to run on the BSAs, that's nothing of any great consequence. The second is to acknowledge something I hadn't noted until I went onto YouTube and started clicking through some boxes of analytics. Something I've not noticed before, not really paid attention to, is that I suddenly found I have 67 subscribers, which, to be frank, came as a bit of a shock to me. For anybody who would want to subscribe, it's a bit of a mystery, and I'm truly grateful to all of those that do subscribe. The videos aren't any great shakes, as you can see. They're all a bit sort of amateurish, and anybody that subscribes is obviously very kind and appreciated. I've never really set out to sort of make a YouTube channel as in like a commercial, from a commercial point of view, and it's always just been a little bit of fun just for myself, really, just as a sort of place to sort of put off videos and sort of for my own amusement. But as I say, I'm truly quite humbled for anybody who would want to subscribe, let alone 67 of you. So a great thank you to one and all, really. I've no ambitions with YouTube. It's just a bit of fun. I don't spend any time doing it. I don't upload videos on a regular basis, and I certainly don't buy motorcycles specifically to do a review of them or anything. Anything I review is what I own or what I bought, from tank bags to crash helmets. I've got to update you on the crash helmet actually. I've just actually purchased a Cardo, a basic Cardo, which suits my needs, and I don't think we've got any other new kit to sort of review or anything, but I'd say I'd just do an occasional little update on these things just for my own amusement and anybody that would be interested. As I say, not really a very professional attempt, just a normal person just banging out something that is my own thoughts. So that's really where we are in terms of motorcycles. Anybody that has watched any of these will know I've got three and a bit. I've got Triumph Sprint GT, which is my sort of go-to normal bike, if you like, modern bike. A Honda CB750 F1, which is 1976, not restored but just kept up together. That's a bit of a war of attrition, constantly has something that needs doing. And the BSA B40, which you see me riding at the moment, that's a bike I've owned. I bought that in, it's over 30 years ago. I think I bought it before I had my daughter, who she's now into her 30s. So I've had that a long time. I bought it for a princely sum of £375 from a very good friend of mine's father. He was one of those guys who just had a natural talent for wheeling and dealing, and he suddenly produced this thing. Well, I was told about it. Something like it done about 3,000 miles, and say £375 wasn't a thing of desire at the time, nor is it now really. Just a 350 single. I bought it, and it was it's one of those things you buy that's really good and up together. So you think, well, actually, just got it up together, and it sat with the occasional little run around the block, and over the years, it's just become something I would really struggle to sell, to be perfectly frank. It's just been there so long, it's a part of the furniture. It's been with me good times and bad. So it's a BSA B40. It's an I'm not going to say War Department, but it's a governmental purchase. There's a whole batch of them in various guises with the CYY registration plate. The government obviously ordered a whole batch of motorcycles, I don't know, 1,000, 500, whatever, over a period of time. And it's of the era of, for those that remember it, the Green Goddesses. This particular one was an auxiliary fire service, as far as I'm aware. So it's actually in road trim, with the only difference being a rear rack on it, and it would not have had the badges on the tank originally. There were a little red decal on there, or probably brush painted actually, which would have been in red AFS, Auxiliary Fire Service, and it should have had, and I've never seen one, but I believe I've seen a picture of one, it should have had a brass fire extinguisher somewhere in the front down tube. What the rear racks, you can fit a 45 jerry can on it, and what it actually has on it at the moment, I found a pair of military, actually they're World War II rucksacks, or I don't know what you call them, kit bags, rucksacks. They were new old stock, still in a plastic bag, brand spanking new, even smelt new. Stamped on the inside 1945. I believe them to be genuine, because I do know there were a whole batch of them that disposed of as years went by. So I've managed to get hold of a pair of those, and I've stuck those on the back. And other than that, it's had a mirror, tyres and cables, usual sort of sundry goods, more oil changes than is ever needed, and that's about it, apart from the new carburettor, which a couple of years ago it just sort of started sticking, and it went downhill to a point of frustrating. And after messing about for a little bit, just bit the bullet and ordered a brand new carburettor from the suppliers, Amel, down in I think Salisbury way, and hey presto, back to its beautiful, starts fine, runs fine, sounding a little bit harsh now, but it's just top 7,000 miles. I suppose intermittent use and what have you has probably not done it any good, so it might need a rebuild at one point in time, but I don't think it's knocking at all, it just sounds a little bit noisy. That's mostly attributable, I guess, to the pattern exhaust, which I'm not saying they're rubbish, they are noisy. The original exhaust had a wonderful, almost a whistling noise. The pattern one sounded more like a blooming megaphone. It was, they were never that loud when they were new. And it's on its second one of those, because obviously where it sits in the garage, it sort of rusts out. So that's where we are with that one. Obviously, I think it's had 1 or 2 batteries. It does pretty good. The only thing I found, if you put it on Optimate, I'm talking over years, 5 or 6 years, the Optimate eventually cooks the battery. But so I intermittently put it on charge, but it doesn't really need charge. It seems to go fine. So that's all good. In front is my cousin Dave. He's got a C12, which he's bought in bits, I believe, and he's just reassembled it over the years and fiddled and fettled, and he's one of those sort of, he's a bit of a sort of mad professor genius type who just takes things to bits and sorts things out, to the point I just buy a new bit, but yeah, he messes about and fixes things. He's very clever in his own way. Sometimes it's head scratching as to why he would do the things he does, but everything he does he sorts out, and he gets around it, and very, very clever in his own way, as I say. But that's about it for the bikes, other than the Z250, which we've got in a million bits, and the frame has been painted, and I'm slowly but surely restoring that, or reassembling it, shall I say. Not really restoring, I'm not sort of going to the extremes like anodizing bolts and making it better than it ever was. So the frame's been painted, most of it is just been put back together. There will be bits that need replacing. Rust is, Kawasaki's are just dire. You can see why they were sort of pillarised really in the British motorcycle press, which they were at the time. This welds, the welding standard is poor, the paint is abysmal, everything rusts, and yeah, it's just one of those, I suppose as an engineering thing, they seem to be alright, but restored they're good, and normally got mechanically they're good with engines, etc. But yeah, some of the actual workmanship on them is a bit shabby. But anyway, we'll gradually sort of work our way through that. Probably going to take a long time to get that done, and it will be a long time coming. And I guess I'll probably put an update as to where I am with that in the future. In terms of cameras, as you can see, they're not. I've not really ever gotten into the YouTube thing in the big way, as in spending huge money on GoPros and slapping them in fresh on it. I started off with a Contour Roam, which is great as long as you don't want any sound. That went for a little while, then I bought a very simple GoPro Hero, just really for home use, not for motorcycle use, but I ended up trying it, and anyway, that didn't go too well. It's I think it's probably got too big an SD card in it, that sort of jams. It seems to overheat and jam a lot, and again, you can't obviously do any volume stuff. But I've now got a Drift Ghost XL, I think it's Ghost XL. It's one that's got a big battery, which I'm very pleased with, but it doesn't give the quality, as in stability and what have you. And but I've not really used it as much, perhaps as I should. But I'm getting to grips with it. Every time I use it, it seems to be an experiment, which isn't really the way to go if you're trying to put things out on YouTube. So I tend to sort of bin most of what I do. And that sort of seems to be going along quite nicely. In terms of video editing, I've struggled a little bit with that. Yeah, tried DaVinci 16, or it's updated, now 18 I think. It's very, very good, but very, very much, it needs a little bit more. I'd need to spend a lot more time on it, and to be honest, for what I do, mostly I've come back to using the Microsoft video editor on Windows 10, which is simple and you can't do quite as much, and just keeps it a basic sort of format. So at the moment I'm sort of running that, but still got DaVinci and I occasionally use it, but every time I use it I have to sort of reference YouTube to how do I do this, how do I do that, because it's got so many features you tend to get a bit carried away with captions and things. But yeah, it's enjoyable messing around with it. Although I'm retired, I don't have the patience to sit there doing it for hours. I find sitting at a computer a bit of a chore. I've done that for the last sort of 20 years of my working life, and it's like, oh, I don't really want to do any more. Working life, I had really, from the age of about 13, I think, I started working part-time for a guy across the road who was going stock car racing. Left school shortly after my 15th birthday, went into the motor trades, panel beater, ended up managing a body shop, 2 body shops actually, and then joined an insurance company in the great crash of the 90s for a bit of security, thinking that it'd be mentally, I thought it's going to be a temporary job, But obviously I then got, I suppose, influenced, one would say, by the fact that I had a subsidised mortgage, a pension, a lunch allowance, car parking space, a secretary. I worked in a very posh office in the centre of Reading, and got stuck into that and sort of made my name, as it were, in the insurance world as a motor assessor, dealing with all sorts of weird and wonderfuls. More so than the normal car. Towards the end, I certainly was more specialised. Motorcycles. It sounds really trivial to say, but fraud was a big thing. Fatalities was a big thing. Prestige cars. Again, it was my motor trade history. That was where I was, and of course motorcycles. So I sort of, at the end, I sort of was steering right somewhat more towards prestige cars, motorcycles, fraud, fatality, and all that stuff. But of course, you get to a point where you've done enough. You think, I've had enough of this. So I sort of went down to working 3 days a week, and eventually retired. And to be honest, I don't miss it. It's like many jobs, it's a lot of admin, and it's slightly. I felt my skills were more hands-on motor vehicles rather than admin, insurance, law, and going through all the detail that one has to sort of perform to do that job. The job has been simplified and dumbed down to a greater level by many insurance companies, or farmed out to specialists. I worked for one of the few insurance companies that had their own engineers, and we were very proud of that, and rightly so. I think possibly now Aviva was who I worked for, and Direct Line had their own insurance engineers, and to be honest, everybody else seemed to use independents, and that's not an absolute statement. There were companies using their own, but gradually they would use independents, and it just meant that people could do things cheaper and to no great technical expertise, in my opinion. But so that's where it put me. It's left me with almost a fed up with motor cars thing, and just go away and tinker with whatever I want to tinker with. So that if there's I'm sure if I suddenly came into a big pot of money, I would have a stable full of cars, but to be perfectly honest, I've just got a run-of-the-mill car and tinker with motorcycles now because you can fit 3 or 4 in the garage. And that's really where we are. So we're quite happy sort of messing around. Got no great money, but enough to go by and mess around with motorcycles. I am also a member of the Institute of Advanced Motorcyclists with the Thames Valley Group, and currently training to be an observer, which is a bit of an onerous task. It really didn't get to a good start. COVID obviously came along, and after I'd sort of said yes, I'll do it, I then had a great period of nothing happening because everything just stopped, and it's slowly gotten back going now. I've slowly gotten back going after a period of illness, no great shakes, but it was just the usual viruses and what have you, which affected my balance, and that really set me back a bit. So sort of slowly getting back into that, and not really at the stage of enjoying it yet. It's challenging. Bit of one of those sort of things. You sort of think, yeah, I can do this, and you can get tied down with the admin. And again, just like any job working this, there are certain protocols that you have to sort of. And everybody starts saying, you must do this, you must do that, you must cover your arse off here, cover off there. It's very much a lot to do with the fact that people pay good money to join the Institute of Advanced Motorcyclists. and benefit from the training, which is all done by volunteers, which is what I'm training to be. And the volunteers obviously have to fill their bikes up and go out and burn their petrol and spend their time doing this, which is sometimes a little bit sort of questionable when people are paying for something that you're delivering on a charitable basis. But that's the way the world has become now, and we're now where we are, whereas when I joined I think it was a very much lesser sort of financial burden. It was relatively cheap, put it that way. Everything really we do is based out of where I live, which is West Berkshire, not Tilehurst, on the edges of Reading, which means we've got access to some pretty good roads, not too far away. Heavily trafficked, obviously. It's a busy area, there's a lot of housing, and there's a lot of building going on, so we're always dodging around the roads, as we are here as we come up to Blackbushe. The straight through trip to Blackbushe would have been going through Reading and lots of traffic, but we always sort of circumvent the town wherever we can. No difference this time. From where I live, we can be in the Chilterns within 5 miles, if that. So it's normally we're pointed out of town no matter what we do. This but Blackbushe is not a direction we normally take. It's more easterly, and we stumbled on. I think my cousin stumbled on this, and it was something. Somebody said, "Oh, on a Wednesday there's a bike meet in the daytime." I go, what? That sounds like a time when nobody else is. So obviously most bike meets are in the evening. This is just a bunch of, well, obviously I think 90% of these guys are retired, and some of them have done some very spiffing restorations. Some of them, like us, just on old bikes, their old bikes. As with all these bike meets, some of these people turn up with some things that you think, oh my lord, look at that, that's wonderful. Some of them can hardly ride them, but some old fellow the other day, well, I think last time we came with some old fellow just running along and bump starting some old side valve thing. He must have been, well, if he was 10 years older than me, I would have thought, I thought he was nearly knocking 80. He was, he looked a fair age, and fair play to everybody that turns up to these meets, gets on these old machines and rattles them along, and looks after them. It's, at the end of the day, you're only looking after it for the next sort of a custodian, I suppose. If they, whether, I don't say they all end up in museums, but some of them perhaps will, as the petrol gradually diminishes, but I don't think we need to worry about that. For us, it's just going to be the cost of it. So there we are. So again, thank you to anybody that thinks of subscribing. It's more than I ever expected, and I apologise for the abysmal quality of some of these videos, but say it's just a bit amateur, and I will try to improve. We'll do some. We'll have to do some with Dave, because his talent for taking an old bike in 1,000 bits, or even as he's just done recently with the DR, taking an old bike in that just about runs and stripping the thing down to its bare bones and rebuilding the thing again, sometimes when it doesn't even need it, it's a rare talent. So, and he's beyond me sometimes, but so it's fair play to him. That's about it. So hopefully I'll produce something that somebody will be interested in, and thank you again so much. Goodbye.
Yes, this one was Faulkner's of Oxford, I think it was sold by.